What's going on, everyone? It's Nick again, and before we begin, please remember to like, and if you're new here, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We got a lot of baseball news to talk about, so if you can stick around to the end, I'd really appreciate it. So before we get into it, let's play the intro. Move number one that I'm going to talk about. James Paxton going back to Seattle. I guess the Yankees just really saw a red flag in him if they really couldn't bring him back for $8.5 million. Well, actually, they would have gone over the luxury tax, and the Yankees really don't want to go over the luxury tax. I've been saying this whole time, though, screw the luxury tax, but I guess it also depends on who you're getting when going over the luxury tax, and James Paxton, really worth being over the luxury tax for the Yankees? I mean, I do like him though, and I wish him well back in Seattle, and I'll definitely thank him for keeping our season alive in the 2019 ALCS, outdueling Justin Verlander in Game 5, pushing it to Game 6. Yeah, it was a crushing blow how that series ended, but James Paxton kept the season alive for one more game. Definitely big thanks to him for that, and in September of 2019 was when Paxton was at his best with the Yankees, and I just have the traditional stats in front of me. I don't know the analytics for each particular month, but September of 2019, a 105 ERA, a whip under 1, 30 strikeouts in 25 2/3 innings pitched. He was Cy Young caliber in September. Unfortunately, he's not going to be that amazing or anything close to it for a whole season, but that month, he was just absolutely lights out. He was really getting hot at the right time. Although he's not ace material, and he is very injury prone, he gets hurt every single year. Like I've said so many times before, he's a good pitcher who will get hit hard at times. He's going to have his games where he gets smoked, but he's someone that you definitely like to have in the middle of your rotation guy, although he and Justice Sheffield, I think, are going to be the top guys in Seattle, and Justice Sheffield, he had a pretty good ERA in 2020, but not so much as Sierra. He also had a ridiculously high whip in 2020, and Justice Sheffield's strikeout to walk ratio is pretty though. He's alright with striking out batters, but he does walk a little too many batters, so we'll see, but I at least think we can all expect the Mariners to not be in playoff contention anytime soon. Although the Angels couldn't even give James Paxton $8.5 million when they desperately need pitching, and they already lost out on Trevor Bauer. Man, why are you doing this to Mike Trout? Mike Trout deserves better, man. I mean, of course, not that James Paxton would single-handedly turn around the Angels pitching. Obviously not, but he'd at least make them better, and you really couldn't even give him $8.5 million. Alright, next move. Jay Bruce to the Yankees. So yeah, I gotta talk about my Yankees, and he was only signed to a minor league deal. He has more power than Brett Gardner, but he doesn't walk a lot at all and strikes out too much, so it's whatever to me. I don't think this is really gonna have any effect on whether or not they bring back Brett Gardner, but if I had to pick between the two, I'd rather have Gardy back. I'm not crazy about Brett Gardner by any means, but between him and Jay Bruce, yeah, I'd rather have Gardy back any day. Jay Bruce, I mean, he's not terrible defensively. I mean, he was pretty good back in the day, but nowadays, yeah, he's not anything special defensively. Jay Bruce did have one more defensive run saved last year than Brett Gardner, but still, when I'm looking at the offensive numbers outside of power, I'd definitely rather have Brett Gardner if I'm picking between the two. Although, I think I'd rather have Jay Bruce than Mike Ford. Okay, next move. I haven't even talked about Darren O'Day, by the way. And to replace Adam Ottavino, I like that move. He's much cheaper and walks less batters, so I'll definitely take it. He's older than Adam Ottavino, though, but at just $2 million for this year, yeah, it's not really a risk at all. And okay, here's where I admit where I was wrong. John Michael Delton White, I gotta give you your props. You were right. I predicted that the Dodgers would not re-sign Justin Turner in my Trevor Bauer video. You commented saying they would. Okay, you were right. I was wrong. Although they traded Dylan Floro, and I'm not sure why, because he was pretty good for them last year. But I'm not gonna lie. Unless something goes seriously wrong for the Dodgers this upcoming season, they're definitely favorites to win the World Series. I just hope the Yankees make the World Series. And I mean, sure, I'd be ecstatic if they win it, but I'm gonna be honest. I think it's the Dodgers to lose. If they can re-sign Corey Seager after this season, though, that we're gonna have to wait and see if they can do it, though, because they're already way over the luxury tax, and just re-sign Justin Turner to put them even more over the luxury tax. But at least for this year, I just have a really hard time seeing them not repeat. Mark Melancon to the Padres. I'd much rather have Trevor Rosenthal, but Melancon didn't give up a single run in the playoffs last year. If we're looking at only their 2020 seasons, then yeah, I think that we'd rather have Rosenthal, although I wouldn't heavily hold 2019 against Trevor Rosenthal because he was coming off Tommy John surgery. Yes, he was abysmal in 2019, but just keeping the Tommy John surgery in mind, yeah. He did bounce back in 2020 though. Sure, in a short season, but I'll at least go with that and say that he still has something left in the tank. Even in a short season, to put up the numbers that he did, he must be doing something right. Now, I don't know the exact details of the Mark Melancon deal yet as I'm recording this. He had a poor Sierra, but Rosenthal was hit harder according to StatCast and Baseball Savant last year. But other than that, though, it looked like Rosenthal had a better season. Now we got Jake Arrieta going back to the Cubs. Good riddance, right, Phillies fans? But for the Cubs, yeah, sorry he's not the same pitcher he used to be back when he was pitching for you guys. And it's only a one-year deal, so I'm not going to overreact and say that this is going to set your team back for years. But $6 million for what he's done in Philadelphia, I don't think he's even worth that. He's really only worth a minor league deal at this point in his career. But again, I mean, your team's in rebuilding mode. We all know that. I'm not going to go to the point where like, wow, this is going to absolutely destroy the Cubs for years to come, because no, it's only a one-year deal. Now, the Mets have had a great offseason, and not getting George Springer and Trevor Bauer, as much as I'm sure Mets fans would have loved to have one or the other or even both, again, it's money that you could use to extend the guys already on your team and also to strengthen your bullpen. But Seth Lugo just underwent elbow surgery. Yeah, that's not something that you like to see, and I hope for the best for him. That's a bummer to have elbow surgery. Although they got Jonathan VR, and as a hitter, he's a pretty good backup, but he hasn't been good defensively since 2018. After they got the news about Seth Lugo, the Mets got Tommy Hunter, and Tommy Hunter did have a 4.01 ERA, but let's hold on. ERA is not where we come to conclusions. He also had a 3.57 Sierra and a really good strikeout to walk ratio. He did have a 2.81 ERA before getting lit up in back-to-back games in September. So he was only occasionally part of the Phillies bullpen problems, but a lot of the time he actually was not. At least not as much as his ERA would indicate. I'd still look at losing Seth Lugo as a big blow, though, because he's a guy that you can have as a long reliever or a back of the rotation starter. I'd prefer to have him out of the bullpen, though, but yeah, it's definitely not something that Mets fans like to see happen. Or actually, if you have any morals, it's not something that you like to see no matter who you root for. But okay, last move that I'll talk about is Rich Hill to Tampa Bay. I still take the Yankees over the Rays, don't at me. It's only a one-year deal worth $2.5 million, and his ERA would make that look like a steal, but his FIP is pretty ridiculously high, and he did walk too many batters last year. Didn't strike out a whole lot either. And looking at Baseball Savant, okay, he wasn't hit all that hard. His exit velo and hard hit percentage are great, but yeah, K rate low, walk rate not good, and he's not throwing very hard. His whiff percentage is bad, although he does have a good curve spin, or really good actually, and really good fastball spin too. That's just last year though. And yeah, he did have a really good 2019 season, well, only in 13 games though. So yeah, he is injury prone, and he's old. He's 40 years old. And okay, his Sierra in 2019 wasn't nearly as bad as it was last year, but I wouldn't say it's the worst thing the Rays could have done because they got him super cheap, but he's definitely not someone that's going to scare me at all for the Yankees to face, not even a little bit. And actually, before I wrap up, there is one more thing that I would like to address. Trevor Bauer, this season, is about to make more money than the Indians' whole team combined and the Pirates' whole team combined. and also the Orioles' whole team combined. There's got to be a salary floor. I know that others have talked about it, and I'm right on board with those who are demanding a salary floor. It's a disservice to the fans who spend their hard-earned money on their teams. Now, yes, I know last year no fans, but in general, because there probably will be fans in the stands this upcoming season, and for fans to spend their hard-earned money, for you guys to not spend it all or spend very little, it's insulting. And this is coming from a fan of a team who's the biggest market in all of baseball, or perhaps the biggest market in American sports. It's a total disservice. It's insulting. I understand there's rich teams, like in Moneyball. There's rich teams, there's poor teams, there's 50 loads of crap, and then there's us. I understand, but you gotta spend money to make money, and if fans don't want to spend money on your team because you're not spending the money, yeah, that's your problem. And this isn't me going at Trevor Bauer or anything. I don't care who the player is. No one player should make more than an entire team combined. I don't care if it's Mike Trout. No single player should ever make a higher annual salary than an entire team combined, period. So that's all I got for today, and actually this happened to be shorter than I expected. And if you made it to the end, thank you so much, and if you haven't yet, please remember to like, and please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I will see you next time.